The Friday the 13th franchise, like many others, has had its fair share of successful and not so successful entries, but perhaps one of the most infamous being Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, that has often jokingly been referred to as Jason Takes a Boat to Manhattan, considering just how little of the film actually takes place there. So is the hate for this movie warranted? Or does it have some redeeming factors despite not fully living up to its title?
You don't understand. There is a maniac trying to kill us. Welcome to New York.
Greetings all you movie junkies and entertainment lovers, and welcome to another review. Today we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. While aboard a houseboat on Crystal Lake, two teenagers accidentally resurrect Jason Voorhees when the boat's anchor damages some underwater cables that shock Jason's corpse back to life. The next morning, he sneaks aboard the SSS Lazarus, which has set sail for New York City, with a graduating high school senior class. And when Jason soon starts killing all of those aboard, the remaining survivors escape aboard a life raft and make their way towards New York City, where Jason stalks them through the streets of Manhattan, or Vancouver, Canada, made to look like New York. Rob Hedden, who previously worked as a writer and director on the Friday the 13th series, was hired to write and direct the film, striving to devise a script that would get Jason Voorhees out of Crystal Lake. One of Hedden's original ideas was to set the film solely aboard a cruise ship, with Jason hiding in the lower levels. The other concept was to place Jason in a larger city setting like New York. Ultimately, it was decided to combine those two concepts, with the first act of the film taking aboard the ship and the second half on the streets of Manhattan. This decision was mainly due to budgetary restrictions from Paramount, as filming exclusively in New York still cost more than the studio was willing to spend. Hedden had originally written most of the movie to be set in New York, in which he had written scenes that take place at Madison Square Garden, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, Central Park, and the Empire State Building. But despite being the biggest budgeted film in the franchise up to that point, Paramount told him that there simply wasn't enough money to film so many scenes in New York. So he was forced to rewrite the film and spend more and more time on the cruise ship, with most of the actual scenes in New York being filmed in Vancouver, Canada instead. And more of the film's runtime would be confined to the boat, with only the last third of the film now actually taking place in Manhattan, which unfortunately would lead to many fans being disappointed and feeling like the film doesn't fully live up to the title, which it really doesn't. And there's a lot I think could have been done to save the film's reputation. The most obvious would have been a completely different marketing campaign and title that doesn't show or hint to any of the New York stuff. That way it would be more of a pleasant surprise and not so much like wasted potential. Friday the 13th Part 8 Blood Cruise could have been an alternate title they could have gone with, but it's likely that despite how the final product came out, that the studio still decided to stick with the Manhattan title, as it probably was perceived as being more marketable. Another simple fix could have been just not showing New York at all in the opening titles. This, I feel, really hurts the film, as it's basically showing you all the places we'll see later in the movie, and gives the false impression that this is where most of the movie will take place. Now, does simply changing the title or taking out New York of the opening titles automatically make the film infinitely better? No, not entirely, but I do believe it would have helped greatly to get people's expectations more in order to what they're actually about to see. Many say that the stuff on the boat drags, but that's only because you're waiting for them to get to New York. Take away that expectation and it doesn't come off as bad. That being said, even with the right expectations, this certainly is not the best that the franchise has to offer, with most of the characters coming off pretty flat, and a very odd choice of the main character Rennie having hallucinations of Jason drowning as a boy, and how that ties into her own past trauma, which this to me just feels completely unnecessary and a contrived way of trying to connect the lead character to Jason, and really doesn't go anywhere interesting. When the film does finally get to New York, it definitely picks up a bit, with there being several standout moments, the absolute best being the infamous head punch scene.
your best shot.
And it all wraps up with the ending in the sewers, which supposedly get filled with toxic waste every night. Geez, no wonder there's so many mutant turtles down there.
Now what? Who the heck is that?
Wayne Gretzky? On steroids?
Overall, Jason Takes Manhattan is and always will be a movie with a lot of wasted potential, but just because the film does not fully live up to its title is not enough of a reason to dismiss it entirely. It may not be anywhere near the best of the franchise, but I still think it has enough enjoyable factors to not be a total write-off. So if you go in with the right expectations and enjoy it for what it tried to be rather than what it failed to be, it could still be somewhat enjoyed as a fun but flawed slasher movie. Thanks for watching this review. Be sure to subscribe for more videos, and until next time, be sure to consume as much entertainment as humanly possible, and I will see you in the next video.